The host of the World Expo 2030 will be decided in the coming hours. Tonight, South Korea's Busan is facing a showdown with Riyadh and Rome, with its fifth and final presentation ahead of the voting. North Korea has apparently armed its soldiers in the Joint Security Area with pistols as it continues to raise tensions, having scrapped the 2018 Inter-Korean military agreement. Israel and Hamas agreed to extend their ceasefire deal by 2 more days. With this, 10 hostages are to be freed each day. It's November 28, 2023. This is News Center. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Min. It's a big day for millions of Expo lovers around the world. The host of the World Expo 2030 will be decided in just the coming hours. Tonight, South Korea's Busan is facing a showdown with Riyadh and Rome, with their fifth and final presentation ahead of the voting. Over in Paris, Team Korea is making a last-minute pitch. Yoon starts our coverage.
A delegation led by South Korean Prime Minister Han Duck-Soo, comprised of business leaders, was making a last-minute pitch in Paris on Tuesday to members of the Bureau International des Expositions before voting takes place on the host for the 2030 World Expo.
In the final presentation, internationally renowned figures will convey our desire to attract and host the event, and Busan's appeal, and the proposed support strategies for participating countries. We will do our best to successfully conclude this long journey, which we came alongside our citizens, ensuring that the sincerity of South Korea can be fully expressed.
While the detailed content of each country's presentation is strictly confidential, prominent figures expected to take part in the final presentation for Busan include former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and Prime Minister Han. According to officials, Busan is differentiating itself from Riyadh's oil money by highlighting the country's vision to transform the World Expo into a platform seeking solutions to challenges faced by humanity. It may be a two-way race despite Italy's Rome being one of the candidate cities, as Italian media outlet La Repubblica reported that the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni will not take part in the General Assembly in the French capital. International media outlets are paying attention to whether Busan can win the bid, overtaking Riyadh. One French media outlet, Le Figaro, stated the competition seemed decided 2 months ago in favor of Saudi Arabia, but the Korean campaign to promote the country's second city was well carried out. Also mentioning the 150 taxis marked Busan 2030 circulating in Paris as one of the only indicators of the international competition underway in Paris. The South Korean government is hoping that if Riyadh does not win outright, receiving 2/3 of the votes in the first round, Busan could potentially take a large chunk of the Rome votes to win the bid. Ahead of the secret vote in the following order, the Republic of Korea's Busan, Italy's Rome, and Saudi Arabia's Riyadh will give their final presentations on their Expo projects for about 20 minutes each. A candidate must get 2/3 of the votes cast to be selected outright. If no candidate achieves this target, there will be a second round of voting after the third-place candidate is eliminated, and the winner of a simple majority will be selected. The results will be announced around midnight and 1 a.m. Wednesday, Korea Standard Time, through the BIE's official account on X, formerly known as Twitter. Yoon, Arirang News.
One Team Korea has traveled around enough to circle the Earth 495 times, and its efforts never stop until past midnight tonight. That's how President Yoon described efforts made so far as he presided over a cabinet meeting earlier, with the decision coming within a matter of hours. Kim Do-yeon explains.
With the Busan Expo campaign coming to an end, President Yoon looked back over the last 16 months, saying united efforts don't stop until the very end.
원팀 코리아는 오늘 자정이 지나 종료 휘슬이 울릴 때까지 지금도 부지런히 뛰고 있습니다.
This as he presided over a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, the first one since he got back from nearly 2 weeks of overseas trips. He added, the strong efforts come as hosting the World Expo 2030 in Busan will lead to rapid, regionally balanced growth. And as the united team traveled around enough to circle the Earth 495 times together and met with representatives from more than 170 countries, President Yoon said South Korea made more friends, with many touting how united the support was for Busan.
전 세계는 대한민국의 이 민관 원팀의 그 가동 체계를 보고 대한민국의 역동성과 잠재력에 많이 인상적이라는 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
In addition, One Team Korea utilized the occasion of meeting with representatives from other countries to develop bilateral ties with them.
이 과정에서 우리 정부가 표방하는 그야말로 글로벌 중추 외교의 기조를 제대로 수행했다고 할 수 있습니다.
Amid the united efforts, President Yoon Suk-yeol has done his part through summit diplomacy to urge leaders around the world to back Busan while making sure the campaign gets support. In fact, just 20 days after his inauguration, he kicked off a commission for this campaign, assigning Prime Minister Han Duck-Soo and Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chair Choi Tae-won, who also is SK chairman, as co-leaders of the committee. So far, he's been to Paris twice during BIE General Assemblies, giving the presentation himself during his first trip. At the cabinet meeting, he also spoke of his overseas trips to APEC and the UK. He emphasized APEC's importance as South Korea relies on trade for its economy, while highlighting his meeting with Apple CEO Tim Cook and co-hosting an event with his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida at Stanford University. In terms of his visit to the UK, he underscored the significance of the new bilateral era, saying the global strategic partnership opened doors for many industries to cooperate. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
As we're inching closer to the decision for the 2030 World Expo, excitement is reaching a fever pitch in Busan. Our Song Yoo-jin reports from that port city.
More than 9,000 kilometers away from Paris, where the host of the 2030 World Expo will be decided, the city of Busan is on tenterhooks. Reflecting the hope that their city will be chosen, the people of Busan are once again in full expo spirit, just like when the Bureau International des Expositions and Commission visited in April. Mass cheering sessions have been taking place across the city since last week. Haeundae Beach, one of Busan's most iconic landmarks, has installed a mock-up of the 1889 World Expo's main attraction, the Eiffel Tower, alongside Pugi, the mascot of the 2030 World Expo Busan. In the center stands a large panel adorned with messages of hope and support for Busan. Despite Saudi Arabia's Riyadh being widely seen as the frontrunner, the people of Busan are hopeful that their city will change things around.
Just like in sports, the beauty lies in dramatic last-minute comebacks. I'm confident Busan will win, and this expo is not only a celebration for our city, but for all of Korea. I hope the BIE members vote for Busan.
First and foremost, just as someone living in Busan, I'm looking forward to the expo as Busan might get to host it. I think the involvement of so many people in Busan's bid shows the significance. I'm really excited.
This support extends beyond Busan, with even those living abroad rallying behind the cause.
Busan is my hometown, and witnessing its transformation over the years has filled me with pride. Hosting the 2030 Expo would be amazing, and I wholeheartedly support Busan's bid.
So with the stage set and the countdown having begun, Busan holds its collective breath in anticipation. The host of the 2030 World Expo will be decided tonight at the BIE's 173rd General Assembly. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News, Busan.
North Korea is apparently arming its soldiers in the Joint Security Area with sidearms as it continues to raise tensions more heavily since last week. Today, a stern warning came from South Korea's defense chief. Our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Jong-sil reports.
Pyongyang is reportedly arming its soldiers who are deployed at Panmunjom Joint Security Area. Yonhap News reported on Tuesday, citing multiple South Korean and American military sources, that since the latter half of last week, North Korean soldiers have been carrying sidearms while on duty. South Korean soldiers in the area remain unarmed. The United Nations Command, which is in charge of the Joint Security Area, is reportedly weighing options while closely monitoring Pyongyang's moves. Defense Minister Shin strongly condemned the North on Tuesday afternoon, saying any careless maneuver that undermines peace is the beginning of ruin. According to the Ministry of National Defense, Shin ordered the military to retaliate decisively if the enemy makes any provocative moves. The JSA is where the historic Panmunjom Declaration between then South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was unveiled in 2018. To fully implement the declaration, the two sides later reached an inter-Korean military agreement the same year to reduce tension on both sides of the military demarcation line as well as in the Joint Security Area. Since the agreement, soldiers of both sides in Panmunjom went unarmed while on duty. If the North persists in arming its troops in the JSA, it's possible that South Korean soldiers will be ordered to carry firearms.
Our military will continue to closely monitor North Korean moves and take necessary countermeasures.
Pyongyang's decision to arm its soldiers at the JSA came after it began rebuilding guard posts along the inter-Korean border starting late last week and reportedly arming them with heavier weapons. The regime has been actively ramping up its military options after it virtually terminated the inter-Korean military agreement following the South Korean government's decision to partially suspend a clause relating to aerial reconnaissance due to North Korea's launch of a spy satellite. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
Pyongyang claims its spy satellite has sent more images of U.S. military bases. Meanwhile, in New York, the UN Security Council fails to reach a consensus on condemning North Korea for its latest violations of the Council's resolutions. Ian Jin has more.
North Korea's state-run media reported on Tuesday that leader Kim Jong-un received photographs from the National Aerospace Technology Administration on Monday and Tuesday. The pictures taken by the regime's Mallikyung-1 military reconnaissance satellite included images of the Norfolk Naval Base, Newport News Shipyard, and an airfield, all in the U.S. state of Virginia, as well as images of major military bases in South Korea and the U.S., none of which have been made public yet. On Monday, the 15-member UN Security Council met to discuss the November 21st spy satellite launch, during which the Assistant Secretary General for the Middle East, Asia, and the Pacific called the North's launch a serious threat to aviation and maritime traffic. South Korea, present as an interested party, the U.S. and others condemned the launch as a violation of UN Security Council resolutions, which banned the regime from any launch using ballistic missile technology. However, the session failed to produce any joint statement due to opposition from China and Russia. At the end of the session, the United Nations ambassadors of the United States and North Korea became embroiled in a spat at the table, showing a rare, direct, and public exchange between the adversaries.
The DPRK claims it's acting in self-defense, but the self-defense really does not stand here, as the U.S. and ROK military exercises, as you know, are routine and they're defensive in nature. Unlike the DPRK's launches using ballistic missile technology, these actions are not prohibited by UN Security Council resolutions.
One belligerent party, the United States, is threatening us with a nuclear weapon. It is a legitimate right for the DPRK as another belligerent party to develop, test, manufacture, and possess weapon systems equivalent to those that the United States have already possessed and or developing right now.
South Korean ambassador to the UN, Hwang Jung-guk, said that Pyongyang is now almost mocking the Security Council. Ian Jin, Arirang News.
In the Middle East, Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend their ceasefire by 2 more days to allow more hostage prisoner exchanges. Choi Min-jung has the latest.
The 4-day humanitarian pause in Gaza, which was set to end on Tuesday, has been extended for another 2 days. Qatar's foreign ministry confirmed the agreement on Monday without giving too much detail. A senior Israeli advisor said Hamas will release 10 hostages each day under the terms of the agreement. The White House said it welcomed the extension.
Now, in order to extend the pause, Hamas has committed to releasing another 20 women and children over the next 2 days. We would, of course, hope to see the pause extended further, and that will depend upon Hamas continuing to release hostages.
U.S. President Joe Biden also released a statement stressing that related parties would take full advantage of the pause in fighting to increase the amount of humanitarian aid moving into Gaza. Biden also vowed to continue U.S. efforts to build a future of peace and dignity for the Palestinian people. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres described the extension as hopeful, but warned that it still does not give enough time to meet humanitarian needs in Gaza.
It's a glimpse of hope and humanity in the middle of the darkness of war, knowing that even with that additional amount of time, it will be impossible to satisfy all the dramatic needs of the population in Gaza.
On the fourth day of the truce on Monday, the Israeli military confirmed the release of an additional 11 Israeli hostages. Qatar's foreign ministry said the hostages include 3 French citizens, 2 German citizens, and 6 Argentinian citizens. Over the first 3 days of the truce, Hamas released more than 50 hostages, mostly women and children. Israel freed over 100 Palestinians from prison. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Korean companies are being provided with a platform to partake in overseas development projects. Seoul's Ministries of Economy and Industry are co-hosting the Multilateral Development Bank project at Plaza here in Seoul on this Tuesday and Wednesday to offer local businesses the chance to meet with foreign officials to pitch for projects supported by the bank's $40 billion fund. The fund comes from various sources, including the World Bank and Asian Development Bank. Pundits believe a significant chunk of the fund will seek to support reconstruction projects in war-torn Ukraine. South Korea and Indonesia have decided to enhance their cooperation on critical raw material supplies, including nickel. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy announced that the two countries held the 14th Korea-Indonesia Energy Forum in Jakarta on Tuesday for cooperation on the supply chain for key minerals and other raw materials. Discussed were establishing hydrogen production facilities and cooperation on nuclear power, including small modular reactors. Seoul aims to open the door for domestic firms to export hydrogen-powered vehicles and facilities to Indonesia by building related infrastructure in Indonesia. Meanwhile, the two countries are set to launch a joint mineral research center on Wednesday in Indonesia for high-purity nickel production for secondary batteries. As Korean webtoons, dramas, and movies gain more popularity around the world, the content industry seeks to expand further by bringing in business opportunities and more talent through a special event. Our An Song-jin takes us to Content Business Week.
Itaewon Class, All of Us Are Dead, The Uncanny Counter. All began life as webtoons before being successfully transformed into well-known K-dramas. As South Korea continues to make copyrighted works into different forms of visual entertainment, the country's exports of the content industry hit an all-time high of $12.4 billion in 2021. Aligning with the government's effort to create economic value for the industry by increasing its exports, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, together with the Korea Creative Content Agency, organized the second annual Content Business Week to target both domestic and overseas markets.
Content Business Week is a chance for Korean firms creating and working with intellectual property to boost their business through B2B and B2C events.
The 3-day event that started on the 28th in Seoul links 3 different events: the Content IP Market, Licensing Con, and 2023 Webtoon Job Festa, each designed to expand intellectual property business among various manufacturing, communications, and services companies.
We will develop our intellectual property talent so this market can grow not only in Korea, but also as a global content IP market, becoming a place where collaboration between various industries can be made. It'll be a festival for people all over the world.
The content IP market focuses on the interaction between content companies, service providers, and buyers to commercialize original intellectual property such as webtoons and various story characters.
Well, it's not only about Korean webtoons, but for example, about maybe Asian comics. So I really like their graphics and also storytelling. Well, it's not about every comics, so that's why I need to take a look by myself and to choose the story and to choose the comics carefully, so I can provide the best for the readers.
The Webtoon Job Festa connects recruiters and job seekers in the comics field to promote the growth and development of the industry. This event garnered attention from recruiters from nearly 80 companies. As K-content continues to gain popularity both at home and abroad, the government pledged to further discover and develop intellectual property content to create greater value for it. Han Sung-jin, Arirang News.
K-pop rookie girl group BABYMONSTER has topped several iTunes top songs charts globally with its debut single Batter Up released on Monday. According to its agency YG Entertainment, the group ranked first in the charts in 21 countries including Thailand, Chile, and Vietnam. It was also the first K-pop band this year to place its debut song in the top 50 of the US Top Songs chart. The song's music video also reached over 28 million views after its release on Monday. BABYMONSTER is a new 6-member girl group signed to YG 7 years after Blackpink debuted in 2016. With cold wave warnings ready to be issued tonight in Gangwon-do and Gyeongsang-do provinces, frigid conditions will persist until next week. Severe wind chills make conditions feel colder than actual reading. Although daytime temperatures will return to the positive range for most regions, morning temperatures will stay icy cold at -4 degrees Celsius in Seoul. Meanwhile, light snowfall will continue for inland regions. The capital region and the Chungcheong-do and Jeollado provinces can expect around 1 centimeter. Patches of ice may appear on the roads, making them slippery. Extra caution is necessary when driving. A strong wind warning has also been issued in Gangwon-do province. Please secure any items that could get blown away. Tomorrow, Seoul will start off at -4 degrees, Chuncheon -6 degrees Celsius. Daily highs in Seoul will get up to 2 degrees, Gwangju 9, Busan 10 degrees. This cold spell is expected to continue until late this week and then gradually ease from Sunday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is News Center for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session is coming up.